Hello Twin Flames, this is Victoria and I'm here with your daily energy check. Welcome to the Dominican Republic with me. I'm on vacation. If you've been following my readings, you know that I'm out this week. Well, I'm out physically, but I'm still with you guys, still doing the readings. I will be experimenting with different locations around my room and maybe even a hotel. There's some beautiful places around, so maybe I'll be brave and do something outside at some point. We'll see. But for now, I just wanted to give you a quick reading. I'm actually delivering my webinar today, so it's a super busy day. So I wanted to do a quick read, and I was guided to do a reading for whoever is watching. So basically, this is not so much a feminine versus masculine, but this is for a twin flame that is watching the video, some guidance. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to take a look at relevant information from the past, the present, and what's coming up in the future to get you some insight, to get you some idea on what to look for, what to pay attention to. Okay, so we'll start as always with Oracle deck. And today I'm going to be using the Sacred Traveler Oracle. I have brought a few decks with me, so this is one of them, and we'll get overall guidance, overall theme for what is this reading going to be about. Okay, so we got the card Mystic Healer. Healing energy flows through you. So to me, this is basically what we've been talking the last few days about, this big ending of a cycle, which was about releasing. And in my personal experience, it's kind of like this is the next step, right? Like you release the burden and then the healing can come in, and then you can truly have closure for that story in a healthy way and move on, right? In a healthy state of mind, body, and soul. So this is still continuing. So if you have any specific rituals for enhancing healing capabilities or amplifying the healing, please do that, because it's a very favorable environment energetically for it at the moment. Okay, let's get into tarot, and we'll get some messages from your twin to yourself, of course. I do have a separate deck for it. I'll be using the Light Seers Tarot for the messages. In the meantime, I've got one of my decks. I think this is the Deluxe Tarot for the main read. So let's see what we are supposed to know from your past, present, and future to get you some guidance that is relevant at the present moment. I like this so much when we see not like, you know, the big picture, like everything that happened in the past. We see the relevant information from the past. And it's useful, like little hint for those who are doing tarot readings for themselves. And I do believe that you should. It's a great practice, and it actually helps you work through your intuitive skills, through your psychic skills, etc., etc. So even if you're doing this type of reading for yourself, and you would think, well, I know what's going on in my life, right? Why would I be doing that? It's so useful. And I mean, right now I'm doing it for you, right? Like, yeah, to some extent, this is building trust between the reader and the client, right? But for the most part, since this is a collective reading, it's only partly for that perspective, right? But it's important that even if I were doing it for myself, it would still be useful, because the reading would be bringing about the events and experiences that are relevant to what is going on right now on my journey, energetically in the current moment in the collective, right? Whatever I'm supposed to remember or draw my attention to, because there's so much happening in our life. And you know that some events, if they are traumatic, if they are somehow undesirable, they get suppressed even to that extent. So maybe we need that extra reminder, extra note. Sometimes we feel like something happened either by accident or it was a casual event, and in fact it was divinely orchestrated, it had a big meaning. You know what I mean? Okay, so for the past we have Apologies that right now you can't see the cards really well. I'll try maybe to put them here. Yeah, maybe this will be a little bit better. We have Queen of Wands, Four of Swords, and Four of Cups. So this is the past. The present, we have Six of Wands, Four of Wands, and the Fool. Beginning of the new cycle. Beautiful. The future, we see Eight of Wands, the Sun, and Ten of Wands. Okay. So more, and I'm getting a lot of this bottom of the deck, Seven of Cups. In this deck, it's this beautiful fairy tale card. So it's like endless opportunities. That's how I'm reading it. It's just in this deck, which is beautiful, right? It's like a clean slate, and you can write whatever you want in this part of the story, basically. So what I'm getting in general from this reading, there's so many wands here. There's the Sun card in the future. A lot of references to the fire element. So I'm getting almost like there's a lot more of that fiery energy, of that drive and passion that comes in, that is pushing you to action. And remember, we're actually still in the Sagittarius season, which has that exactly that vibe, right? Sag is going forward, is aiming for the skies and going for it, right? With enthusiasm, with like healthy ambition, right? In the light aspect of it. So yeah, I feel like this is really igniting the twins towards, you know, going for it, pursuing your dream, communicating what you want to whatever, whoever, including the universe at large, right? Manifesting your dreams, really. That's what I'm seeing here as a subject, as a general topic. So let's get into details. So in the past, we have the Queen of Wands and we have two Fours, Four of Cups and Four of Swords. Yeah, so first of all, there was a lot of learning gathered on the like intuitive guidance, how to trust your intuition, how to be using your intuitive skills, not just intuitive skills, let's say light worker skills in your own life, right, in your own element. And take it how it resonates for you with gender, because the Queen, if anything, is more of a, has more of that observational quality, right, of that knowing rather than doing, right? With the King, it would be more about performing rituals, right, about going out there and making changes in the surrounding, right? With the Queen, it's more of an internal focus, right? It's like, oh, okay, so that's what it means. Okay, so I can ask questions in this way, or I can be manifested in that way, right? That kind of wisdom. That's what, there was a lot of learning recently. That's what I'm getting here. With the fours are the foundation. So the foundation has been laid to figuring out what is it that you want and preparing for it energetically, which actually included ending cycles, taking care of yourself, doing some healing. Like Four of Swords is all of the above, right? Preparing yourself energetically, removing the burdens, closing old cycles, right? Anything that was pulling, well, not anything, but you know, things that were pulling, and people and relationships, they were pulling on your energy and preventing you from going full on for your dream, for what is truly making you happy and joyful, which is what we see in the future with this Sun card. The happiest card in the deck. And before we even get to that, let's take a look at what we have in the present. And we have a pretty big deal here. We have Six of Wands, we have Four of Wands, the Union card, and we have the Fool. This is such a huge deal. I can, like, if I start talking about it, it's gonna take me half an hour. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase, because I'd like to make this reading pretty concise for today. But yeah, and notice that in this Six of Wands, there is an opposition of 1 that the person is holding versus 5 Wands, which means overcoming of the karmic cycles, right? And I'm getting here the deeper cycles that could go to several lifetimes or generational karma, right? This is where there is recognition that I'm doing this, like my parents were doing it this way, maybe like some other relatives were doing it that way, right? Or I've been getting into certain scenarios, certain patterns in my life. And I know that I'm not bringing them about, but I still do, which means that it still has meaning. And there's a good chance that it was brought in by my ancestors for me to work through and to heal those patterns, right? So there is this this is like a victory in healing those old cycles. That's what I'm getting here. And I don't get the ancestral healing much in my readings, but that's what I'm seeing here, which is beautiful. And look what it's also opening us up to. It's opening us up to the union. The most important part of union is the internal union, the union of inner masculine and feminine, being able to see beauty and benefits in all, like seeing the shadow side and the light side and choosing light. That's what I'm getting. And believing in light, right? That's the full card for you, right? Believing that we can choose, that it does matter. Seeing actually as we believe, right? Seeing that it does matter. That it's not like a done deal that, okay, so these are the rules of society, that's just how the world works. So I might as well just follow the flow and, do what other people are doing. No, this is like, okay, maybe, well, this world is, has so much negativity and shadow, right? And that's one of the reasons we're all here in the first place, right? Not to just accept it and go with it, but do something about it, right? In a healthy way. And that starts with us choosing that light and believing that not only that we can make a difference, but as a collective we're changing the story. We're changing the future for ourselves and of course for generations to come, right? This is the big trust. This is the big fool with capital F here. Huge. And actually, generations to come is also part of For Once, if you think about it, right? Because it's about union, it's about creating a family to have that legacy to pass on, right? It's also the foundation of that legacy. And it's supposed to be built on, love and kindness. Otherwise, you won't be able to work from it. I'm immediately being drawn to the software engineering context, which is what I've been doing for years. So that's why it speaks to me, where if you're usually these days people start with building like a baseline application, right? Like minimal viable product that they can get into the markets and they can then build upon, right? Like an advance, build new features, grow it, scale it, etc., etc. And the truth is that this MVP, as minor as it might sound, is like the key to whether you're going to be able to scale it easily or not. And a lot of times a mistake is made that it's just done kind of like, loose and fast, kind of like, yeah, we'll do something, we'll get it out. And then in the end, it turns out that we have to rethink the architecture and pretty much redo the whole product from scratch because it wasn't a good foundation to begin with, right? And maybe not even because of bad intentions, just because the team had a different objective in mind. They received the task and they implemented the task, which at that time was not about being able to scale it in the future. I don't know, it sounds a little shallow, but that's the baseline of it. That's life, right? That's what happens. Not everybody is thinking 10 steps ahead, just in case, right? Okay, and for the future we have 8 of Wands, the Sun, and the 10 of Wands. Yeah, so there will be more of the healing, and I'm getting this big connection between the Sun energy and the 10 of Wands. And this is beautiful when you're able to heal more of the pain and more of the fears. And I was just talking about my own fears in the last reading yesterday, so you can check that out if you haven't seen it. And there was a Tower card that came out for Divine Feminine and 5 of Pentacles, which is like, when you see it on its own, it's like, whoa. But I could really speak to it from my own story. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, there will be some story there, let's put it that way. Right? So sometimes we learn through painful experience that are divinely orchestrated into our life. It's so much more pleasant when we can heal through positive experiences. And that to me is healing through the sun energy, right? Is removing burdens through seeing joy, choosing joy, and getting clarity with the Eight of Wands here. This communication, right? It could be from other people, could be from the higher power. But in any case, this communication, this information will make things clear. Why they happened a certain way, why it was supposed to happen this way or that way, or why somebody's acting that way, right? And it will help you. And this is like the nearest future, right? Because I'm doing this reading just for like basically the next week or two, right? It's not like months. So this is gonna be happening shortly after you're watching this reading, right? And this is something to celebrate, to be appreciative, right? And if you step into the sun energy with being joyful, high vibe, and with a positive outlook on what's coming up and why you go through what you go through, the more efficient it's going to be. That's what I'm getting. And the more conscious you're going to be about it, the more beneficial it's going to be. It works either way. It can be generic. Seriously, it works. But if it's more conscious, more specific, then it works even better. Because when you start putting focus onto something, that's where you put your energy into it, right? And that's like a sure thing that is definitely going to change, hopefully for the better, right? If you're putting positive energy to it. Okay, messages from your twin. Last but not least, what would your twin flame like to tell you right now? What are they thinking and feeling about you and your connection? Too many cards are trying to fall out. Okay, I'll take this. So we have Two of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. So the main message here is from your twin is that the choices they are making are very much, and they start to understand it more and more, are very much divinely guided, right? Guided by their higher power, by the universe, however they see, whoever they believe in, whatever they believe. So a lot of times they start giving themselves a break, and they give other people a break, including you, Divine Feminine. So before, when they were hurt by what choices you were making, they would, for the most part, take it personally and get upset with you or with themselves, either way, right? But it would be hurtful regardless. And now they're seeing more and more through their own experiences, through their own choices, where a lot of times they just feel this intuitive push to go in a certain direction, to make a certain choice. And they understand later on why it was necessary, even if it didn't seem like the win-win-win, you know, like that it's beneficial for everyone, or it's, you know, easily the best option, right? Maybe it wasn't, but it was there for a reason. So what they're going through now is this realization of how much we are being guided, and that being in alignment with your destined path doesn't necessarily mean choosing the best way or making the best decision. Sometimes the workaround was actually the scenic path, you know, the detour that you needed to take to kind of gather that, you know, like in video games you would have like, I don't know, you could do extra mission and get extra resources or skills or whatever it is, right? It's like that. And that was very necessary for what is on the main path, for what's coming. So yeah, they're giving themselves more compassion and kindness with regards to the choices they make, and they are more understanding and compassionate and accepting of the choices that you've made or things that you've said, right? Even if it was something that they didn't understand before, or that they were either upset or angry about before. And remember that we are a mirror for our twin, just like they are for us. And sometimes what we say is supposed to trigger them so that they can get, you know, that push, that impulse to do something differently, or at least to think about it, why that status quo is not going to work anymore. Okay, I hope this has been good for you guys. Thank you very much. I love you all, and I'll be back with more readings very, very soon. Sending much love from the DR.